Hello students, good morning. Welcome back to a new video of Sunanda's tutorial. In this video, we will discuss about Hydrosere. So it is the succession in the aquatic ecosystem. In my previous video, I have discussed what is succession. Then it is the succession of aquatic ecosystem, that is Hydrosere. So let's start. It is the succession occurring in aquatic ecosystem. Such type of succession does not necessarily lead to aquatic communities towards the development of land communities. That means in my previous video about the succession, I have discussed that in the process of succession, generally the first community that appear on a bare land is known as pioneers, and the successive stages are known as gears, and final stable community is the climax community. So it is not necessary that aquatic community always leads to a stable land community. Sometimes if the body of the water is large and very deep, also very strong, with very strong wave action and very powerful physical forces are at work, the succession results in a stable aquatic community. That means stable climax aquatic community in which any considerable further changes is hardly recognizable. The process of aquatic succession or hydrosere completes in the following stages. The first stage is the phytoplankton stage. In the initial stage of succession, algal spores are brought in the body of the water. The simple form of life, that is bacteria, algae and many other aquatic plants, that is phytoplankton, or animals, that is zooplankton, floating in water are the pioneer colonizer. So the pioneer colonizer of this hydrosere or aquatic ecosystem are the phytoplanktons, that is small aquatic plants, and zooplanktons, that is small animals. All these organisms add large amount of organic matters and nutrients due to various life activities, and after their death they settle at the bottom of the pond. So if it is the aquatic ecosystem, they float like this, and when they die, their remains deposited in the bottom of the ocean or bottom of the pond or any aquatic form and gets accumulated there. Then the submerged stage, it is the second stage of the aquatic succession or hydrosere. Here the phytoplankton stage is followed by the submerged plant stage, when a loose layer of mud is formed on the bottom of the pond and some rooted submerged hydrophytes begin to appear on that new substratum. The pioneers are Ellodia, Potamogeton, Myriophyllum, Ranunculus, Utricularia, Ceratophyllum, Vallisneria and Cara. Then floating stage. In the beginning, the submerged and floating plants grow intermingled, but very soon submerged plants are replaced completely. The habitat becomes changed chemically as well as physically. The dead remains of the plant are deposited at the bottom. The substratum rises up in the vertical direction, and the plants or the floating plants generally developed. And important floating plants are Nelumbium, Trappa, Pistia, Nymphea and Limnathemum. So these are the floating plants which appear in the third or floating stage of hydrosere. Then reed swamp stage. When the ponds and lakes become too shallow, that means the water depth is very low or less, 1 to 3 feet only, and habitat is changed so much that it becomes less suited for floating plants. Under these conditions, the floating plants starts disappearing gradually, and their plants and their places occupied by amphibious plant which can live successfully in aquatic as well as aerial environment. Then important examples of this reed swamp stage plants are Botrioclova, Typha phragmites. Sorry, it is not visible. See, this is Bothreo clova. Second one is Typha. Third one is phragmites. It is commonly known as reed. Bothreo clova, Typha, phragmites or reed. These are the plants which are generally found in reed swamp stage. Then sage marsh or sage meadow stage. The filling process finally results in marshy soil. See, at first the phytoplanktons appeared in the aquatic ecosystem. Then after the death and decay of these phytoplanktons, they gets deposited or their remains gets deposited in the bottom of the aquatic ecosystem. Finally, submerged stage or plants which are submerged in the aquatic ecosystem are appeared. Then floating stage, some plants at their floating stage or floats on the water surface. Then after their death, these floating stages disappear gradually and their places occupied by the amphibious plant, which are generally Bothreo clova, Typha and phragmites. After this, the places of the reed swamp or reed plants, sage meadow plants appear. So this marshy land is filled by these sage meadow plants. Now the plants are well adapted to new habitat and begin to appear in the pre-existing community in mixed stage. Important plants are well suited to marshy habitat are the members of Cyperaceae and Gramineae. The species of sage, that is Carex, and Rosses, that is Juncus, species of Themeda, Iris, then Dantium, then Eriophorum, then Symbopogon, then Campanula, Mentha, Caltha, Gallium, Teucrium, then Caecuta are the first invaders of this marshy land. That means generally the plants that they are grass in nature of Cyperaceae family appear in this stage. Then the woodland stage, it is the sixth stage. In the beginning, some shrub and later medium-sized tree from open vegetation or woodland. These plants produce more shade and absorb and transpire large quantity of water. So they are more or less terrestrial in nature. Shade-loving herbs may also grow under trees and shrubs. The prominent plants of woodland communities are Butiazone, then Acacia, Cassia, Terminalia, Salix and Cephalanthus. So after the sage meadow stage, the woodland stage appeared and these tree species appeared on that land. Then the final stabilized community, which is the climax forest. After a very long time, the hydrosere may lead to the development of climax vegetation. As the level of soil is raised much above the water level by progressive accumulation of humus, that is organic compounds and soil particles, the habitat become more dry and certainly well aerated. In such a habitat, well adapted, self-maintaining and self-reproducing, nearly stable and uniform plant community consisting mostly the woody trees develop in the form of mesophytic forest. So it is the final and stable community which is the forest. So these are various stages of hydrosere. I hope you really enjoyed this session. In my next class, I will discuss about different stages of xerosere, what is xerosere, and different stages of xerosere. So stay tuned and enjoy my videos like this. Thank you, and please like, share and subscribe.